This is the Big Idea, Big Moves podcast. This is the destination for high performers. We talk to people just from different genres, different niches, just people doing really cool things in their space, find out a little bit about their journey and what they're doing, and hopefully be able to transfer some of that into our own lives as well. And as we go along, also hear some really interesting stories. And have one of those today. Just before we jump into that, we know that we've had a relationship with Epitome Sportswear for a while, and the thing is that connects really well with what we do because it's not just about high performance, it's about kind of whole life performance and just things that fit nicely into everyone's lives. And so it might be that if you're going to your child's soccer game, you might also be going into the gym yourself. Hopefully they'll have something that fits for you there. They also do something that's really important to us as well, is that they give back to the community they serve as well. So they're working to impact the inequities in opportunity for girls and women in sport. And for that reason, a portion of their profits go directly to organizations and initiatives that support girls in sport. So you can check them out directly at www.epitome, sportswear.com, or you can just go to our Instagram profile and connect through there as well, and hopefully find something that fits for you. So really happy to have Adrienne Ferro with us today. She's a health and fitness coach, certified personal trainer, owner of Craving for Coaching, and a bodybuilding athlete as well. As a coach and trainer, she focuses on empowering entrepreneurs and busy professionals, and obviously other people as well, but those are kind of target markets to create sustainable fitness, nutrition, and healthy habits, and experience the impact that those changes can have as well. So thanks very much. Our time zones we were talking about, Adrienne, just before we came on here are a little different. So it's early for you, but we'll probably talk about, your day is half over because of how early you get up in the morning. So thanks very much for taking the time with us this morning.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Jamie.
Yeah, well, the first thing I'll kind of, you're pretty open about the fact that you haven't always been as super healthy as you are
Right.
now. So why don't you talk to us a little bit? I mean, you may have had some of the path that you share with the people you coach now. So tell us a little bit about your path to getting here and maybe in that healthy lifestyle.
Okay. So my journey began probably about 9 years ago. I was 30 pounds overweight, and then I had went to see the doctor, and they had let me know that I needed to go on high blood pressure medication. Um, my father, he ended up dying early because he had also dealt with the same thing. Um, Due to lifestyle not being healthy. So that's when it kind of really scared me and hit home. And it's like, we need to do something about this. I really didn't want to go on blood pressure medication. So I ended up taking the approach of what can I do over what can I take.
Hmm.
I ended up researching labels extensively with foods I was eating, reading everything I could online, anything I can get my hands on. I just really kind of soaked up the whole lifestyle of trying to get healthy again. So then I was able to lose the 30 pounds, and like my blood pressure is perfection now. But anyways, I mean, that's kind of what got me into it, was my own health scare. And then I realized that, I'm really passionate. I really enjoy this. I love everything about it. And I wouldn't mind helping people as well. Uh, then flash forward to probably about 2020. I really wasn't happy in my current career. And I was just like, the whole unknown with 2020 and everything that was going on, it was a wake up call. It's kind of like, why am I doing something I'm miserable? Like, why am I doing what makes me happy? So that's when I was like, you know what, like, let's just go ahead and, start up this business and see if we can help others too. So I made the transition of full time into health and fitness coaching. I started working in a big box gym, and then I had my own side business as well. So then I was able to, start helping people. And I work with lifestyle clients. So they don't necessarily have the goals to compete, but they're just looking for something that they need to lose some weight, or they're, in the very beginning stages of possibly um, needing to go on some medication. They don't want to do that. So those are basically the clients that I help.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you mentioned a little bit even about your own journey, about how there was a bit of a change, not just in lifestyle, but in mindset that goes with that as well. And how important was that for you? Because that obviously impacted things like you making decisions around your work life and all of those things too. Like how broad does that get for you from that end?
As far as the mindset and it's kind of just changing your thinking, your behaviors, and everything like that, and um, focusing on, my goals and wanting to get there.
So one of the things that we talk a lot about, and I know that you is taking kind of a holistic approach to it. So
Mhm.
it's not just it's not just fitness, it's nutrition, it's maybe your work life. How do you kind of
Yeah.
integrate some of those things? So from that perspective, how do you approach it, and maybe approach it even with your clients of, how do you balance those things when, everybody knows that there can be a lot of stress that kind of comes just from one or two areas of your life?
Basically, what I do with my clients is, yeah, we don't necessarily only work on nutrition. We also work on habits as well. So
Hmm.
your sleep, your mindset, managing stress as much as we can possible. Obviously, we can't totally do away. We're always going to have stress in our life. We're always going to have stuff that comes up. And um, I really kind of try to reiterate like breath work and meditating to kind of work through those moments. And then uh, getting to the gym and being able to exercise as well, it really helps bring down that stress too. Making sure that we get enough sleep. A lot of people don't. And that also plays, a fact in, your stress levels and your weight too.
Hmm.
So.
Hmm.
I try to focus on, those four pillars.
Yeah, yeah. And um, are you personally somebody who, if you're setting goals in those different areas, or do you write them all down? Do you like, are you somebody
Oh,
who does
yeah.
that, or how
Yeah,
does that
yeah.
work for you? So,
So every year, what I do, I kind of make my own little vision board and I do it on my phone in my little notepad. But
yeah.
I put what goals I want to achieve for the year. So, like for instance, this year I wanted to go back and compete again. I wanted to beat my last year.
Hmm.
So I that's obviously in there. And then, other goals that are very important to me. And then I also kind of try to break them down a little bit further. How am I going to reach that goal? Without going into too much depth of all my goals. But
Yeah.
uh, basically, yeah, just how I'm going to get there, what we're going to do, what's the big goal, what are we
Yeah.
going for?
And if you do that with a client, how is it different? Because obviously you're doing it partially because you do want to compete in some of those things. And you
Mhm.
mentioned that, a lot of your clients are people who just want to change kind of lifestyle or fit it into whatever else they do. How does that change in your approach around goal setting with them?
Um, we kind of try to do the same thing. Whenever I have a consultation with a client, I ask them, "What is your goal? What do we want to achieve?" Uh, and then I kind of give little suggestions on maybe what their intake form had said. Uh, are you looking for fat loss? Are you looking for just overall health and longevity? Are you looking for something that's going to be able to fit in your busy schedule? And I had kind of shifted my focus into working with entrepreneurs and women in business.
Hmm.
Uh, so that is a lot of things they're trying to fit it into their busy schedule. So
Yeah.
then what I'll do is I'll make smaller exercise plans, workout plans for them to be able to fit it. And then they travel. I can also I make like just a little program that they can do something small in their hotel room, 20, 30 minutes.
Hmm.
And then I can give them guidance also on like eating out and trying to, stay on track while they're away. But yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah. And what kind of I mean, if people are coming to you wanting to know, because a lot of times people try to figure out, what coach fits best with them. Do you have a certain approach to, like, how do you explain that to somebody who's maybe checking to see, is Adrienne the right coach for me versus somebody different? Like, how do you tell people what your coaching is like?
I mean, on our consultation call, so it's about 30 minutes to like an hour,
Hmm.
give or take. But I hope in that call that they can kind of get the feel for my personality. My personality is more positive. Like I'm gonna have, uh, I use a lot of humor too. So I always like to make light of what we're doing to make it fun. I know that some coaches are a little bit more hardcore. That's
Yeah.
not my style. Like, I want you to get to your goal, but I want us to have fun, because that's what's going to sustain it for the long haul, is not taking it so seriously, not saying like, oh, we can just fall off track, or I can't navigate out of my eating plan or my workout schedule. No, we're going to work around it if anything comes up. Um, so yeah, like our consultation call, and then seeing if we're a good fit. I ask them different things about their life. I also let them know my coaching style, and then see if it works for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And, a lot of them probably also see you as somebody who has experience. I mean, you've had experience in kind of corporate roles before
Yes.
you moved to what you were doing. And maybe that's a question too, is that making a change like that is, I mean, it can be scary for people. It can be something that, is I'm sure, like what was your experience like with that about, I know it probably was prompted a little more because of what happened around that time
Yeah.
and maybe made it, I don't want to say easier, but maybe pushed a decision that might not have happened otherwise. But what was that like, knowing that, it's still scary to be an entrepreneur and kind of jump out and do something a little bit different?
Oh, the jumping out and doing the entrepreneurial from my business background, that I'd been in a career for like 15 years.
Yeah.
It was scary. I've always been told, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Change isn't going to happen through comfort. You kind of got to push through it, and um, just take a chance. And that's kind of the coaching style with the clients that I stress upon is, yeah, this is going to be outside of your norm for a second. You're going to need to get used to it, but you'll end up falling in love with it, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, it's always a change, a new thing you're introducing to your life. There's going to be change, and just kind of trying to work through that with my clients, and being there for them. They have questions, and being patient, and trying to understand where they're coming from, or what their concerns may be.
Yeah. Yeah. And um, I guess that's a question too, is that you mentioned becoming an entrepreneur can be like, there's a lot of learning that comes
Mhm.
with that from your end in jumping in. What has surprised you about, is there something that, wow, this is way harder than I thought it was going to be, or this was something I had to learn and I had absolutely zero experience? What's that been for you?
I mean, I guess just trying to, the business part of it was, it's easy, but as far as, probably working with the clients and finding out what their style of learning is,
Hmm.
some, and how to approach everybody, differently. Like, you can't have a set coaching style for each. I mean, everybody is different, and
Yeah.
that's probably the hardest thing that I, was trying to learn,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
working
Just kind
with
of how
people.
to flex your style and all of those things,
Correct.
I'm
Yeah,
assuming. But
yeah,
yeah. Did you have mentors through that? How do you
yeah.
find your way through something that's brand new like that too? Like, do you have people you look to?
Yeah, so I actually, through competing and also some other little networking that I've done in this space, I had started that earlier on, and
Hmm.
I kind of pair up with mentors that have been in the industry for so long. And if I were to run into a challenge, I would ask them, and they would always give me, great feedback. Just listening to a lot of podcasts, doing research, reading a lot of books by fitness entrepreneurs. Just, educating yourself. That's, what I did, and trying to, do
Yeah,
this new life.
yeah. And you mentioned to me you start your day very early.
Hmm.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about kind of how that works for you? Because obviously you fit into your own day, your own fitness and health and goals and all those things. So it's a bit about how do you balance it, but tell me a bit about how you do that, even just setting up your day a little differently than some people might.
That's probably why I get up so early, is that way I can fit in my workout before, I start my day and start work.
Hmm.
So I get up usually about 4:30, wake up a little bit, and then go to the gym, because my, training for competition. My workout's usually around an hour and 15 minutes. And then 7 days, I'm supposed to be doing like 40 minutes of cardio as well. So structuring that before I get into my day, it allows me to be able to have my own time, work on that. And then I can start with working with others and helping them. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, I wasn't always a morning person either. Whenever I had started working in a big box gym, my first client was at 6. So that's whenever I started to get up about 4ish, and it was a little tough at first, but you get used to it. Now I absolutely love my mornings. It's my own personal time. It's quiet, and I can get everything I want out of the way before, my day, officially starts.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and you know, was I guess when you structure your day like that and all those things, is it difficult to do like how do you structure the nutrition part? Like, is it any different for you? Like, do you have to eat really early? Do if you're talking to clients, how do you help them manage that? Because there are lots of people too that I guess would probably commute to work and all of those things and still have to get
Hmm.
up super early in the morning. Does it change your approach to nutrition, or how do you help them through that the way that you might for yourself?
I mean, it's what I stress upon is meal planning, on your weekends. Make your meals in advance. And then that way it makes the week so much easier. And then you don't have to worry about what am I going to eat? And last minute, like, oh, I don't have anything prepared. I better go get something, from the restaurant or, pick something up. And I really stress upon like Sundays, let's meal plan. And I'll be like, okay. And that's another thing in the consultation. I go over, what foods they enjoy. So whenever I make suggestions later on and try to help them out with their meal planning,
Mhm.
uh, I already know what they like. So I mean, I think that's the only way to do it is planning in advance because, everybody gets so busy through the week and, you may be exhausted. And then if you have children, then you're taking them to different events and, uh, it kind of gets a little chaotic. So,
Yeah.
planning in advance what you're going to be eating on the days and then cooking ahead of time. And then something I do like for breakfast and stuff, I might just prepare it for only like a couple days. And that
Mhm.
way it can be a little bit more fresh. And then uh,
Yeah.
do that like in the evening, once or twice a week.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And for somebody else who's kind of figuring out how to put all of this together, what do you have like a way like do you track everything in your phone? Do you like how do you do all that? Because if you're getting ready to be able to compete, you're probably tracking your macros and all that fun stuff too. Do you have a system that you use yourself, or how does that work?
yeah. So I use my Fitness Pal.
Mhm.
That is my best friend through competition prep. So because my coach, he gives me a meal plan, but then he also gives me the macro countdown. And I'm more of, I want to be able to have the flexibility with eating. And that's what I preach also with my clients too. So my Fitness Pal is it's a great resource so that you're able to just stick to the macros while you're also, eating foods you enjoy and you're not restricted. Uh, so that, and then also I do utilize Trainerize, which is a coaching platform. It's online. But yeah, for tracking the food, I love my Fitness Pal. Like it's
There's a few things like that, but that's obviously MyFitnessPal is one of the
yeah.
big ones out there. So that's great. Um, One of the things that we ask everyone when they go through kind of something like this with a guest is something that people can leave with them. And there's lots of things that they've already kind of got that as they've went through here. One in particular is that if you know when people are trying to make a change, sometimes it can feel intimidating. It can be,
Mhm.
it's just taking that first step. How do I do that? Where it feels like it might be so far off to get to, where they want to be. Do you have a couple of tips on how people can start that change and maybe they start incorporating some fitness habits into just normal life and start the process before they kind of go a little more kind of wholly into it?
Um, I say honestly, making small changes first. That way you're not completely intimidated and it doesn't seem overwhelming.
Hmm.
So I usually like to suggest walking. that's easiest form of exercise that you can get it. It doesn't take a lot of time. Like go outside and walk for like maybe 20 minutes around the block. And also uh, the walking probably 2, 3 times a week, just start there. And then what you can do is also just making a few food changes. Um, Sticking to whole foods instead of eating out. Try doing that first before like really trying to break down like meal prepping and everything like that. Stop eating out, start cooking at home, and then see how that goes from there.
Yeah. 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 The little changes. I mean, you may find that if you're always eating out and all of those things, that may make a much bigger change than you probably assume it will,
Oh,
if
you'll
you just
definitely
change those
notice a
habits quickly.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Um, and so do you have any kind of big things coming up, and how, if people are going to follow you, maybe take advantage of your coaching and find out more about that, what are some of the best ways to do that and follow kind of what's happening with you over the next little while, Adrienne?
So you can follow me on my Instagram account. It's underscore Adrienne Ferro. I also have a website, cravingforcoaching.com, craving with the number 4, coaching.com.
Yeah.
I have a competition coming up in 7 weeks. So everything's kind of a little stressful right now and trying to
Yeah.
make sure that I'm stage ready.
Yeah.
Uh, but I mean, anybody that is just curious about this journey, and wanting to start new habits, like reach out, please. Like either send me an email or shoot me a DM on Instagram, and I will help you. We'll work together, for a week. I'll give you some suggestions of how you can start this lifestyle, and then if you want to pursue working with me, we can definitely go into that.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. I mean, people should do that for sure. What we'll do is we'll put right in the show notes, we'll put your Instagram and your website
Oh,
and
thank
those
you. Yeah.
connections too. And then that way, if people, if you've heard that, maybe want to connect with Adrienne and maybe take advantage of that, try things out, see how that relationship goes, and then do something longer term. That would be great as well. So again, thanks very much for taking the time. You've got lots of day left, but you're already kind of well into it. So thanks for doing that, Adrienne. And again, to anybody out there, if you haven't check out Adrienne's stuff and see kind of where things are going in the next little while. If you haven't hit subscribe on the podcast, do that now. We have great people every week, just like Adrienne. But again, thanks very much for taking the time with us, Adrienne. Really appreciate it today.
Thank you again for having me.
All right. And everybody else, we will talk again soon on Big Idea, Big Moves.